Hello, everybody. It is the 27th of January, 2025, and it's a Monday evening. Good evening for those of you who are in Kenya, for those of you who are in East Africa, and for our viewers who are abroad. Still, it's evening for some of you in the UK, and in the US, I believe it's in the afternoon. Yeah. So today we have a very interesting show. We're coming to you from the beautiful city of Nairobi. And myself and my colleague Susan are going to be presenting to you something quite interesting today. It's going to be a shorter show than usual because we're starting a little late. And we will continue this discussion, I believe, on Wednesday. So we're only just going to be starting out the discussion today. Okay, giving you a little few pointers and talking about what's going on, what is happening with Trump's executive orders on illegal immigrants. People are fearing for their lives. They're, voluntarily deporting themselves back to their countries. Yeah. And those who have been deported have been known to be saying, hey, don't do this. It's not worth it. It's really not. So let me first of all welcome Susan, then we can continue the chat. Welcome, Susan, to the stage. Karibu.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Susan. In fact, today I haven't actually provided the invitation link for our viewers. Guys, just to let you know that this is a live show and you can come on our StreamYard. And I've just posted the link there so that you can join us. It's right there. It says StreamYard. You can join us in the comment section and share your views. If any of you guys are based in the US, please go ahead and share your views. This is a very important topic because it affects us either directly or indirectly. Many of us have
Yeah,
relatives who, yeah, many of us have relatives who or friends who are living in the US, or people who we know who have been living there for many years and have not been able to return. Why? Because of the fact that they are undocumented, they are illegal. Many of them have not been able to visit their families. And we know some of you guys who are out there. And we feel for you actually. I can't really say I fear for you, but well, to some extent, a little bit. But I think that we feel more for you. It's kind of worrisome for us who are based back in Africa or back, I believe, in South America, in Asia, wherever your relatives are. They're all worrying for you who are based in the US. And I believe other countries are going to follow suit. Yeah. I'm just going to play a video for you. Well, just show you something. I'm going to share my screen with you. You know how much I love doing that, right? So let me show you what what the deported migrants are actually saying. Let's see here. See what they're saying.
Hay mucha migra y todos están cayendo. No les recomiendo cruzar porque hay un chingo de...
Yep. So basically, what they're saying, those immigrants, is that there are a lot of the border enforcement and also ICE is out there, and they're not recommending that people actually go to the US. It's not worth it. If you're going to be brought back in a plane, what's the point? What's the point of crossing the border without your papers? But on the other hand, we know that the Obama administration actually had a program for illegals who were underage, and those people should be protected, but they not necessarily. I believe that Trump may actually decide to rescind a lot of these things, but we can see that there are many mayors who are conflicted, and they feel that they cannot deny people of their own race and their own, especially people who are originally from the Americas, like the Mexicans, who are the majority, for example. It's difficult for them to outrightly deny them the opportunity to immigrate into the USA. It's difficult for them. So they're having this conflict of interest, and they actually want to go against Trump. But Trump is also pushing back. Yeah, what do you have to say about that, Susan? Welcome, Marto. Welcome, Marto. Oh, it's Mato. Welcome. Karibu sama. Ati sawa tu. Munatuchekea. We're not laughing at you. Oh my gosh.
It's a serious
No, we're
matter,
not laughing at
very
anybody.
serious.
We're not. We're
Yeah.
not laughing at anyone. Let Susan tell you what we're doing because we're not laughing.
No, no, we're not laughing. We're just trying to understand what is happening and how it's affecting the lives of people who are undocumented and immigrants. And it's interesting that they have that Mexico, it seems to be the focus, like you said, the people from the Americas, I mean, from South America, that is the Mexicans. And it's right, there was during the Biden administration, there was a program that allowed people from Venezuela. It was called Humanitarian Parole Program, and people from Venezuela, Cuba, Haiti, and Nicaragua could enter into the US if they had a US sponsor and remain there for about 2 years and work. And currently, with the ending of it, about 700,000 immigrant families, immigrants are affected by it. Of course, this is causing a lot of uncertainty. Um, yeah, even the pending applications for asylum seekers and for people seeking refugee status, they have been suspended. So those who are they're in a space of hiatus. There's a lot of confusion on that because everything has just stopped suddenly and very abruptly. So there are pending applications. For instance, um, yeah, about 1,400 pre-approved Afghan nationals. Their applications are, like suspended. So it's really affecting people adversely. There seems to have been no room for, like no transition period given for things to change. So people who are already in the system have been caught up adversely. Yeah, so they like either they have to apply again if they had applied and the applications were pending, or they have to he has changed his name to Kenyan with Love. Mato has changed it. It was sorry, I just think before it was Kenya Mukora.
Where?
Anyway,
That's
yes,
what. He's a Mkora. He has many names. Just leave him alone. Continue.
yeah, yeah. So I'm just saying, so there are a lot of like people who have been affected because there was no transition period. Um, Unlike the previous Trump regime, apparently the first in the Trump one period, when he tried to bring about these drastic changes in the immigration law and all that, it was done in a quite a clumsy way, and so
Mm-hmm.
it faced a lot of legal challenge. But I was listening to one of the video of a group of lawyers who are actually immigration lawyers, and they say this time around Trump was better prepared with what he intended to do. So, although there are going to be a lot of applications or challenges to some of his decisions, like, for example, the birthright suspension of the birthright citizenship or limitation of it, was not a complete suspension, limitation of it. Um, there's likely to be some challenge. If I'm not wrong, already that particular executive order has been challenged by up to, is it 22 states, because they're saying up to 300,000 women are 300,000 babies are affected, and they will be stateless uh, under that, because what's the birthright citizenship limitation? It contravenes the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, and it says that basically, if the mother is under temporary visa uh, or undocumented in the states and gives birth in the states, that child will not is not entitled to to American citizenship. And this is sort of it contradicts the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, which says anybody born in the U.S. is entitled to claim U.S. citizenship. So that's one particular case. And like I said, at least 300,000 babies who they project, so are likely to be affected by this. Perhaps the good thing about this is not retroactive. So it's about from 30 days from the date of the order, any child born after that period, uh, from either an undocumented mother or a mother who is under a temporary visa, or a father who is not a permanent resident of America. So there are a lot of concerns. The expectation is there'll be a lot of cases challenging all these a lot of the executive orders. Um, yeah, and like you saw there, the those who have been victims of it, there's been self-deportation, and also those who have been victims of it are saying it's risky, it's a dangerous situation. So it's better, people should not go there without papers. Um, yeah, I think that's what I want to say for now.
Thank you, Susan. It's so nice to have a lawyer from Kenya here who can give us legalese language, can use legalese language to describe, the legal issues surrounding this whole deportation executive order of Trump. And now I want to welcome our newest member today, who is a long lost member of this channel, and his name is Kenyan with Love. Hello there. Would you like to say anything at this point, or would you like to come in a bit later?
I would just want to say, number one, to start by saying, yes, the prodigal son is back.
We knew you're going to come back when you get in trouble over there with the law. Obviously. What do you expect? Eh? Welcome home. Eh?
And the prodigal son has gone and done his rounds and is back home again. Back to my dear sister and dear mother, Susan. How are you doing, my dear mother? Acha nianze na wewe. I start from the top, then I come down.
We're all well. Yeah,
You really know how to dance, don't you? Hmm?
You gotta put those dancing boots on your feet. No,
So
yeah.
that nervous laugh tells me that we need to start creating a new home for you over here in Kenya.
I'm headed right, but I'm gonna also head back right again. Because now the thing is that talking of which, for the longest time we've been telling people in America, you will find a
It seems
president.
you're the one who's even laughing at people. You're the one. You who is in
No, I'm
America are the
laughing at
one who is
myself too.
laughing at your fellow Kenyans in America who are undocumented. Eh? And then
No,
you're here
I'm laughing at
accusing
myself
me
too.
in the comments. Hi, Fia. I see Fia in the comments. All you guys who are watching, 7 of you, some of you probably are new to a channel. Very welcome. Don't worry about us. We're going to get to the point very soon. Okay.
Yeah, I'm laughing at myself too. You know why? Because coming soon, I mean, next Friday, I'm going to get my daughter's passport. Your story is Staki Mcheze, Staki Mcheze Trump. But you know what? We're the one that actually wanted Trump to be in there because we thought, and not really think, I think we were right in it. In the sense that Trump, when you move on to the politics of the world, we kind of needed him to come back to kind of push another. No, you know what? Let me circle back on this so that people understand me in your show, because for you, you know me better. You know what I'm talking about. We're not. I don't want to push it to the Ruto and African politics and stuff like that. Let's just what you guys were talking about.
Yes. Yes. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Trump is not a good president of the Republic of, called U.S. He has, first of all, he's a criminal. He has 56 cases, 30 of them in Georgia. However, they let him even run for presidency is even what I don't understand. Because you can let a criminal run for presidency.
I think we had that discussion earlier, Kenya with love,
I didn't hear it.
and I
Sorry,
and I
maybe.
think I think Susan explained a little bit of that to you before. Yeah, I seem to remember that there was something about the fact that like if he could run for president because some of those cases could actually be stayed for a period. Am I correct, Susan? What was the reason why Trump was actually able to run in the first place
Al-
despite his record?
Also, also, if they're pending, if there's no conviction, that cannot stop him from running for president because the laws usually talk about conviction. Um, but I did see recently that he was convicted on one of the charges. I didn't look deeply into it, but I think the judge did pass a sentence on it. Maybe we can look for that at some another day when we're
Yeah.
discussing. But basically, the issue of conviction is important. If they are pending appeals, again, the conviction has not crystallized. So there are so many ways that these politicians get away or are able to go around the law, circumvent the law in terms of them being called criminals. But if there's a pending appeal, you really can't say the person is a criminal because the case is still in the court. It's still live.
So Kenyan
Yeah,
with love, can
sorry.
you tell us a little bit though, without going into deep into politics, yeah, about what are the kind of the fears that illegal immigrants have? What are their fears, and what has been communicated to them so far? What services are available to them? Because
Okay.
that's the topic today. We're talking about Trump's executive orders on illegal immigration, their fears, and their legal rights explained. We're going to try to explain some of the legal rights based on the limited information we have. But for you being on the ground in the US, you can tell us a little bit about what's happening at the workplace. Is ICE raiding the workplace? Is there information that has been provided out to employers about what to do if ICE comes to raid the workplace? What can you do if you are an illegal immigrant? What can you do if maybe you are legal and the rest of your family is not, or one of your family members is not, or still has a pending legal matter? Yeah, so far,
Okay.
have you heard anything? Yeah, what instructions are being given out there? What are
Yes.
Kenyans doing there also? you know
Okay. Now, here's and people need to understand. And thank you for going straight to the point. Um, if you don't have any legal standing as we speak right now, those people who, I don't know if you understand the little language that we say, if you don't have madango, some of us say if you don't have madango, please talk to your family at home. Have a conversation with your family. Talk to your sister, talk to your mother, talk to people, see what you can do.
mm-hmm.
Just think about it. I mean, just think about how much a ticket can be to go to Kenya. Just even if you just want to visit, you know what I'm talking about. Even if
I
this
get it.
is, yeah, just you want to, yeah, just talk to some people. Talk to Queen Mo here and Auntie Susan here. Just talk to them and ask them, hey, how does Kenya work? You know, is there
I swear,
kaboda
Kenyan
boda?
with love. Wewe ni mbaya sana kabisa wewe. Eh? But you know something, you could be right, but you could also be a little bit wrong because I also saw somewhere where they said that if you can prove, if you can say that you fear going back, if there's real
I
fear, if you
Queen
have fear going back, if you could state to the ICE officers, okay, but I fear going back because of potential persecution.
Queen Mo,
Yeah.
I was coming to that.
They can't actually forcefully take you away
I was
in that
coming to
case.
that. I was coming to that.
Okay. Yeah, let me let you
I was
continue.
trying to land. Now, there's also
Pole.
there's a law. No one can actually force you out of the country, like it or not. The only way that you can be forced out of a country is because you've expleted everything else that you can do. Okay. Now, assuming even you had a case in court, even Trump himself can now come and drag you from your house because you have a case that has to be finished by the judges until it's determined. Okay. So, even the people that actually have papers and cases going on with the immigration, no one can ever take you out. The problem is, and I want you to hear me very well, is the people that have never initiated a case. Because what Trump is trying to do and these people, and we know him, he did it the other time, and he went through the court cases and everything. What he's trying to do is come and say that, assuming personally, yours truly was did not have any kind of papers, right? Nothing. And maybe he's been on the run, not from criminal, but just from immigration manenos. And then he's caught. What he's trying to do, and what I've read about what he's trying to do, is saying that you will not have a case in court. Ukiumu umeenda. But for as long as you have a case in court, no judge can actually, irregardless, no one can just take you out of the country until you finish your court. How do you finish your court? You have a day in court, or you lose that day in court. Once you lose, yes, you're deportable. You go. But Trump, there's nothing he can do to people who do not even have papers that hata washafungua makesi. The problem ni wenye wanapatikana kama wajafungua makesi na immigration. That is where the problem is. I hope I've answered your question. That is where he's gonna hit a lot of people.
Yeah, what I've seen is that he has implemented new detention requirements, and there's the law called the Laken-Riley Act, which is waiting for Trump's signature. And apparently, this particular act allows the detention of immigrants or undocumented persons and illegal immigrants who have been charged, convicted of offenses as low as shoplifting to violent. So they're really, after that. And in fact, they've even expanded the detention centers. There are like 110,000 new detention beds or something like that. So he's very, very serious about this particular activity. Yeah. So I listened to a video by another lawyer who said that the people who are the first crop of people to face the strong arm of the law are those who are deemed to be criminals, and they're the ones been convicted of shoplifting to as far as to extreme cases like violent crimes. So that's the first crop of people. On top of that, the reach now of the deportation is going. It's in any state. Before it was not in all states. It was like in the bordering states up to a certain distance. But now it's any state that can be subjected to this law. So the arm of the law has become very, very long when it comes to detecting and dealing with illegal immigrants and undocumented people. So that's what he's doing, and it seems to be very, very serious. Like I said earlier, that lawyer was saying that this time round the policies are not clumsy. They're sort of well better formulated. So the challenge in court will be more difficult. But some of them definitely, on the face of them, you can see straight away that they you'll have to do with the constitution because they are contrary to the constitution. But in any event, constitutional issues can be raised on all of them, particularly for those people who are ready, who are here, you know, who are in the country, like those people who came in under the parole, during the humanitarian parole program during Biden's administration, and they're already here and they're legally here, they're able to stay here for 2 years, without interference or being deemed to be illegal or anything like that. So they are protected by the law, to some extent, and so it's be interesting to see what happens as a result of some of these actions. The other thing he talked about was the um, authorized immigration enforcement in schools and churches and hospitals. So the long arm of the law is actually going into the places of sanctuary, the hospitals, the schools and churches, or religious institutions, the mosques and all that. Those are places of sanctuary. But it's allowed them to, the law go into those spaces to look for illegal or undocumented immigrants. They've deployed a lot of forces to actually go to check on this. Apparently, 1,500 active troops were deployed to the border, and this is a military deployment. And again, the legal question is use of the military in a domestic setting. Usually, the military are not used in a domestic setting. You use homeland security. Here in Kenya, the army is not used, is not deployed. It's the Kenya Police Services or the General Service Unit. But when the military is employed, that's now not a pleasant thing. So it's not usual, not in that, because armies are supposed, the military are supposed to be deployed outside the country to fight wars and stuff like that, but not in the domestic setting. So these are
Yeah.
some of the legal issues that are coming up. Yeah.
Yeah. There's some legal issues too. Like you saw those people who were sent to Brazil, illegal immigrants who were sent to Brazil handcuffed in a
Queen,
military aircraft.
Queen, can I just answer something about Ida Jai, and also backing up my dear mother here? Can I just
Mhm.
answer something
Yeah,
for
let me read Ida's comment and then you can respond because Susan I think cannot see it. Yeah, so Ida J is based in the U.S. and she says, ICE has been raiding markets, businesses, and churches. These holding centers are private businesses making millions of dollars from taxpayers. Okay, now you can respond.
thank you. That caught me because I've been seeing that, and I want to. I mean, that is actually what Mom was saying. Um, I want to actually demystify something about everybody that is actually crying about that now Trump that is in and is fighting this whole thing that he can just deport you by just looking at you, that you can just be deported. No, it doesn't work like that. The problem is, and Ida, to answer your question, if you come to the United States, and since we are fixated on the United States, and you try to be a kamjanja and you hide yourself, yes, they can deport you on that side if they catch you, because you will not have, I mean, you will still get a day in court, but your
Mhm.
court will be your withdrawal. You understand? The case will be your withdrawal, not your legality to be here. So basically, to answer Ida is, and I've done this for a couple of people. Sometimes when you're there and maybe you came here as a student or you came here to do something and you've overdone your visa, your best bet is actually sometimes to just turn yourself in so that at least you have a case with them, because they cannot withdraw you outside the country with a case with them,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I'm gonna be honest here, so that I hope this is an also educative station, because
Yeah, it definitely. We're trying to educate people right now.
yeah,
Yeah. And
I,
ourselves.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
And
remember,
Ida is in the US, based there for many, many, many years.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember, I remember about 12 years ago,
Mm.
my mom got a stroke,
Oh, okay.
and that
Pole.
time I didn't have papers, but I was in a court case of removal. But guess
Mm-hmm.
what? The immigration, I walked into the immigration and told them, listen, it's an emergency. I need to go to see my mom, right? Because she has a stroke. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people do not understand that there's that, with something that is called travel documents. They gave me
Mm-hmm.
travel documents. I traveled to Kenya and I still had a removal proceedings. And I came back with the same
Really?
yes, I came back
Wow.
with the same travel documents. I mean, it's their documents. So they gave them back to, I mean, they gave me the travel documents. So I traveled to Kenya. I came back with the travel documents, with immigration proceedings of removal. Eventually, yes, I ended up getting vitu zangu, you know. So eventually nikaenda nikamaliza whatever I needed to do. So but that's what I'm trying to say. As long as you have a case with them and you're not a hiding person, you should be fine. Trump has nothing to do with that. It's only the judges. They cannot do anything. But kama umejificha na
Mm-hmm.
uguzwe, upatikane tu, you've been hiding, that's where they can play with you. But if
Yeah.
you have the cases, you're okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's very interesting that you actually had a case, of removal and you got traveled papers to go home for an emergency. Because actually, I really believe also having lived in the US, I don't know whether it's true or not, but I really don't believe that the US is really going to benefit from removing so many people. And anyway, they cannot. They really can't because they don't have they can't facilitate it. They don't have enough planes. They're actually talking about, hiring more planes, to get people out of the country. They can't. They have holding cells on the other side, even in Mexico, you know. But Mexico has even refused to allow they allowed two flights to come in, and the third flight they said no, because I think they just don't have they have the capacity to hold a lot of people, but I think also the timing also matters. I
And
don't think
also
it also
and also
again
Yeah.
they seem to be targeting people with criminal records first. They're going
yes,
after those
Yeah.
yes,
hard criminals
yes,
first
yes.
before
And
they
also,
go
Yeah.
after
because you
regulars.
can actually sue them for, if maybe they took you outside the country and then you go out there, you can actually sue them even before you do whatever. So Trump is not end of the world. These things, you can even sue your immigration department. So they're scared of that too. And anyway, it's the law. You cannot just, most of the people that get hurt on these things is people who really don't research and don't even talk to lawyers like Madame Susan to really understand where their rights begin and where they end. Because even though you're not an American, you still have I mean, you still have rights under the Geneva Convention. I
Yeah,
know Mami will tell you here.
that is true that you have rights, but like Ida is saying here, and I've also read somewhere, it's a mistake not this time around. The holding centers are used for processing this time. And actually, one of the ways that these guys have gotten away with sending people abroad, and denying them their rights is to make sure that they never get to see a judge. They never actually get in front of a court and to see a judge. Yeah, I saw that
In
somewhere.
fact,
And that's one way. Maybe these holding centers are the ones that are going to be used to process and make sure that people aren't even going to see the judges. So they won't even have access to that justice you're talking about. And Ida is also saying, we got this piece, we got to this place. because the immigration department under ICE did not have workers to process cases from over 11
Yeah.
years ago. Yeah, shortage of staff.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, just to add, jump in on that one, the lawyer video that I was listening to said that there was a major shakeup in immigration courts. That's they've experienced that, and four senior officials were abruptly removed, and there's a backlog of 3.5 million cases. So there's a big
About
problem, like
removal
they're
of how many
understaffed.
million people? Yeah, they want to
Yeah,
remove how many million people? There was like about 11
it's a,
million people who came into the US over how many years? I think something like just a few
yeah,
years. Yeah, about 4 years. And if there's a backlog of already 3 million cases, in that case, they
yeah.
might want to, you know, just circumvent the process and just get people out of the country in some rogue
Mm,
manner.
But my dear mothers here, do you guys understand how much it cost? It's a very big, a very expensive affair to take a whole chartered flight. Or and remember, these guys, when you're taking them out, the people that I've seen being deported, they just don't fly by themselves. They have to fly with an agent with them until they get to Kenya. Okay, so the money that is gonna come there, if you're trying to deport, what if you want to get a whole chartered flight to deport, I don't know, from Pitia, Nigeria, Kenya, Sudan, and whatever, you want to deport all of them. And then also the and remember, this these agents also have to have a return ticket because they have to come back. You're going to get a very big backlash from even the Congress people, because how much money is that for you to actually fly someone from the
yeah,
US to Kenya and back? And of course, this person that you're deporting doesn't pay his own ticket. You're the one that is paying his ticket. So actually, I
mm,
have seen somebody that actually wanted to go back to Kenya, and I'm talking the truth, and he took himself to the immigration, said I wanted to be deported because he did
Voluntary deportation. Then what happened?
want to be deported. I am
What happened?
illegally here. I want to be deported. I just want to go back home. Can you guys deport me? And but
Then
they
what
were
happened?
refused. Yes.
I always wonder about that. Even in the
Yeah.
UK, I'm like, they're always complaining about all these migrants. I'm like, there's so many people who actually made a mistake of going to those countries or remaining there, and they want to go back home. So why can't they just, why don't they ask for voluntary deportations? They might actually get even more than the number that they need to leave the country. There might be so many people who really want to leave, even successful professionals, people who even have their paperwork together. And many of them want to leave and go back, but they can't afford it. They can't afford the tickets for the children and everybody. So they might be happy to be deported. So why is it that they won't accept? Ida, do you have any response on this one? Susan, also, maybe you might have an idea. Or even Mato. Yeah. Why don't they just accept voluntary deportations? Because like in the UK, I can tell you, so many people are like, I want to go back to Nigeria, I want to go back to Kenya, I want to go back to wherever country, Zimbabwe, but they can't afford it. They can't afford to go back home, and yet the country is complaining. The parliamentarians are complaining there are too many migrants here. The people, they want them out. Get out, go back to your countries. But the secret that they don't know is that their countries are not going to deport those who want to go home. They're going to be deporting those ones who
Don't
don't want
even
to go home. Hmm?
before I know Mommy Susan wants to say something about that, but that's true story. Now another true story. Do you see the local police? I have seen somebody produce himself and say, I have a warrant. There's a ticket I never paid in 2 years ago. And they send him away because he doesn't want to be homeless. So he wants to be in jail just to be, to get there. And they tell him, no, go away. But if they get you on that,
Mato, we missed you on this show. You should never miss this show ever, not one day. We'll start finding you if you don't come back to this show. The stories that you have, that's unbelievable. Ati, he'd rather stay in jail than be homeless on the streets. The stories that I see of jail over there, the way they get punched up and beaten up, I just can't understand why anyone would want to stay in jail. They'd rather stay in jail. And Ida is saying, okay, Ida has a couple of things that she says. Exactly, Susan. Some countries in the EU and Europe give people money to go back. Actually, that's true. You're right. No, Fia is saying that. Some countries in the EU and Europe give people money to go back. It's true. Like I think I saw, was it Sweden or Norway? That was paying people almost $30,000, 30,000 euro to go back home. Just get away, go back home. And then Ida is saying funding is the issue. The precedence
Yeah.
is the fear. Yeah. Once
Yeah.
you start, you open a can of worms.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
And I think
Funding.
she's very right because some of the issues, and I was actually yesterday talking to some people on another different kind of group of just friends, and we were talking about why is it that it's so hard to go back home, and that's what Ida is saying, because it's a kind of, a kind of worms, because everybody is always scared to, like for you, Queen Mo, for you took that chance and you said, you know what, I've been living here, I'm gonna take that chance to go back home and just do my thing back at home. Let me tell you, 80% of the people that actually live in Kenya, I mean, live in the United States, and I'm not going to say Kenyans, I'm just going to say immigrants of the people that live in the United States. The biggest fear is that kind of worms that you opened up for yourself and said, you know what, I, as Queen Mo, I'm coming back home and I'm just going to take that flight, get on it, and go deal with whatever is waiting for me out there. We don't,
Mm.
Exactly.
people
And
do
it was
not
a
want to
huge
do
risk.
that.
Susan as well. Susan was in Europe as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
All of us are returnees. Yeah. We were coming home blind, blind and deaf, totally, to the
Yeah.
situation here.
I read an article. We were doing. I think there's a previous show we were looking at the challenges of coming back, and there's a gentleman. He had a good job in the U.S. and he decided he was coming back home. And the reasons he gave for wanting to come back home was said he never felt that being in the US, despite the better, the better facilities and all those things, he never really felt that he was at home because he really missed the sense of community you get, you know, at home. And he didn't just move to the city, he moved to his rural home and he has built a wonderful house there and with his wife and his grandma is around and his aunties and all these people, and he missed that sense of community, that support system. uh, and he said, it was okay to go and work in the US, but he never felt like it was his home. And he said he wanted to come home, so he came back home. And there
Mhm.
might be others who have that, or they have that
Yeah, I've
sense of,
watched that guy's. I've watched that guy's videos, and actually,
yeah,
he had, I think, a job in IT, in tech, and was
yes,
doing really.
yes,
He was doing really
yeah,
well, very well paid,
mm,
and he actually quit his job with his wife. Even his wife, I think, had a good job, and
yeah,
they came back. And the only complaint he has about living in the village is lack of entertainment. you know,
yeah.
just nothing to do really outside of his beautiful home. That was his only complaint. Other than that, he really loves being back. And not just in the city, he went to the village and built a very beautiful house over there. Gorgeous house. And,
Yeah,
the issue for him is, so like minded people, hanging out with the like minded people around things to do for my children. That's the only concern. So I think the issue is that we should just build our rural areas, and go and settle there. That's the idea. But the issue is that these are the kind now this is addressing that the fears that illegal immigrants have about returning home. But
yeah.
what about the fears of remaining of going to the authorities and turning yourself in, for example, like what Mato is suggesting here, you know?
Yeah,
Ida is
I,
just laughing at
I
me here.
agree with him.
Yeah.
I think I agree with him that that might be the better solution for many, because especially if you don't have the funds to bring yourself back, that's one way to get back. Although, or maybe on your passport to show that you were deported might be in case you wanted to travel again to another country or do something, it might be that might be a black mark. on your history that you were deported.
A lot of
Um,
people say that they sold properties, they sold their properties, they no longer have jobs.
yeah,
Their egos, they worry about what's going to happen when they get back home. People will be laughing at them. I think the thing is they should know that the rest of us are just waiting for them here. We know there's nothing new, but I think it depends on people's circumstances.
But
It
but, but
depends whether you're going
Queen,
back to Mexico or whether you're going back to Kenya or whether you're
Queen,
going back to Nigeria. It depends on the country and the context and
Queen
your
Mo,
family as well.
Venezuela, they refuse to accept the deportees. They refuse to accept them. And in
Colombia as
fact,
well. Colombia has
some of
refused
the
to accept their criminal gangs back. They don't want them.
and one of the executive orders of Trump is that for those countries that don't accept their deportees, there'll be sanctions against them. So they've tried to he's tried to look around to make sure that they receive, that the deportees have somewhere to go, that they should be received back home. So for the
Yeah.
countries that have
but
refused to do that,
Queen Mo, there's something you guys have spoken that is very, very psychologically viable in this whole thing. And I know you
yeah,
guys have actually gone through it. By the time you make that decision to go to and say, I don't believe there's anybody that fears hakuna mtu aliua mtu kwao unless you're uliua mtu kwenyu. But there's this
Be
there's
aware, Kenyan with love. We have most people here don't speak Swahili. Eh?
okay.
Ida is, I think, from West Africa. Fia is from
All
South
right.
Africa.
I'm
So
sorry,
it's okay.
yeah, but there's this stereotyping that is out there that is being put there, that just assuming you've lived in the UK for assuming 15 years. I'm just saying, I'm just throwing numbers out there and places out there for 15 years. And now is about time for you to and mind you, you still had bills, you had kids, you had house, and you had all these all these expenses that you needed to do, right? And then now you want to go back to Kenya now, remember, or even West Africa, even those guys from West Africa, Nigeria, you want to go back. Do you know the stereotype that is out there? Because this guy lived there for 15 years. What is he coming back with, or what is she coming back with? And people will start looking at you, and maybe you might have that little accent like I do a little bit here, and you're out there, and people are looking at you. Look at this guy. He lived in the US or he lived in the UK for 15 years. Now he came back with nothing.
With
So,
nothing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it makes people be very scared of even coming back to the country, because now you
Yeah.
don't know,
That's
you
true.
you know what are you coming to tell people, and maybe
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
you supported them while you were out there, and also you supported your kids, and
Hmm.
maybe you did a little bit here and there, maybe not enough, but when you start coming back, people are going to look at you stereotyping. Who wants to be walking down the street being told, look at that guy,
Hmm.
he used to live in UK for 15 years. Can you see? He doesn't have anything. And that is why
Hmm.
you're fighting people dying here, because they'd rather die
Yeah.
here than deal with with the societal norms and deal with your family out there. You just decide,
Yeah.
let me die just here.
What they should
Yeah.
know is that the rest of us went through it and we survived and we're still alive and we're still here. We were all asked, so what did you bring us from America? What did you come with? I tell them I came with my degree. That's it. So nothing else. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. We don't have any money. No, no money. No. Mm. And people will just have to figure it. In fact, nowadays I think because of TikTok and social media, I think many people in these countries of ours, like in Africa and the rest, many people are more realistic. They know that people are struggling in the West. In fact, they even feel sorry because they can't understand how people are living in cars, under bridges, homeless, living in a one room, living in hotels. They can't understand. Most of us, we can't understand that Because most people here have, even if it's a tiny little room, it's yours. You have it. Yeah. So there's homelessness. The whole issue of homelessness, I think, has opened up a lot of people's eyes. And also the fact that we know that the diaspora remittances have not been that regular anymore. We have a lot of people in the diaspora who are not sending any money home. They're not able to sustain their families back here because they don't have jobs. Many people are losing their jobs out there. So it's not like people are unaware. They're aware. They're aware. So I think the issue is for that is in the minds of the people who are out there, of people in the diaspora. And I think maybe it's to understand that, look, why is it that Europeans and Westerners are coming to Africa, coming to Asia? They themselves are running away. They themselves, Americans, are taking off to Asia. They're going, they're going to settle in other countries in the south. Actually, they're coming to the southern hemisphere. They're coming to Africa. They're coming to Tanzania. There's this guy I saw the other day. He's a white American, and he said he is moving from America to Tanzania. And he's being asked, why are you going to Tanzania? He says, because I want to avoid white people. He says, what? He wants to get away from white people. And the person who was interviewing him said, but you're white, you know that? You're white. Aren't you afraid that you're going to infect? That's the word that she actually used. Aren't you afraid that you're going to infect? But really, what I would say is maybe influence, the culture in a negative manner. And he said, no, I am not afraid because I'm just going to go there and shut my mouth and keep quiet and only speak when I'm asked a question, when I have something to contribute. Then if they ask me, otherwise I'm going to be quiet. But in those countries, they accept me, they're warm, they're welcoming. So why is it that we can see that people who are native to the country, let's call them natives to the country, why are they comfortable leaving and we Africans are not comfortable coming back to our own homes? It doesn't actually make any sense. And we know that Africa is the future. This is where they get all their mineral resources. Yeah. This is where they get all their raw material. This is where even they get their labor. This is where you get cheap labor. So if you want to start business, this is the place to do it. So why would you be afraid to go back home? When I was in school in the
I
US,
think
I went to school with a lot of Chinese people. And I remember, I think, Ida, you remember, those buses were filled with Chinese people who came from China. In fact, our university had like 40,000 students, and there was a great proportion of them who were doing STEM, and they were doing science, technology, engineering and mathematics. And the buses were packed with Chinese people. They were part of a US kind of program, educating the Chinese. And the Chinese went back to China, to their poor country, China, and they built it up. Now look at them. Just look at them. Yeah. Now TikTok is almost being closed. It was actually being closed because it was opening the eyes and minds of Americans. And they were realizing that, hey, there's something bigger and better out there. And we have been lied to and be made deceived, made to believe that it's all everything, that we're the greatest country, we have the best benefits, etc. But now we know that even in Africa, here where we are, we have good quality food, we have good weather, we have peace. Even if we have wrangles, and generally we have a quiet existence back here. We're not worried about anybody coming to raid our houses, to go and deport us because we're already home. So all I can say is that, I think it's in the minds of people. I think adjusting and adapting anywhere in the world is difficult. Even adapting in America is super hard. It's super difficult. And even in the UK, if you want to travel and live in the UK, it'll take you about 10 years to adapt. It will take you about 10 years. It might take you a shorter time to adapt to living in Africa, back at home. Yeah.
I want to jump in on the issue of the deportation and the remittances. There was a recent case of femicide in the U.S. Where this lady, I think she had left her husband, and she was now in a new relationship, and then her ex-husband unalived her. And this lady was like a breadwinner. She was supporting her father, who was very, very sick. He has a terminal illness or something like that in Kenya. So she used to send money to take care of him. And now with her passing, there's no more that income stream has been cut off. So I think this is a serious uh, challenge, because even though some of these people are illegal immigrants and they're undocumented, some of them were still sending money home to take care of other members of the family, especially their parents, their elderly parents. So when we're talking about the impact of some of these things, that is one of them. And that, especially those who say they're going to self-deport because they don't want to, as Mato has talked about, there are various. I mean, if you have a case pending, they are unlikely to send you out until that case is concluded. That is the way of the law. It has to come to a conclusion. Um, those who don't have those type of cases, they've never filed them or whatever, those who have found themselves in conflict with the law and got convictions are likely to be deported. So this situation where people's family, the impact on people's families all over the world is likely to be quite devastating, especially if they are very dependent on that particular person who is overseas. And I think one of the draws to people staying there is, like Mato said, is that people are going to ask you, what are you coming home with? And we, just watching some of the videos of people who are living in the US, they say, yes, you can make money, but you spend it just as fast. And you're living on a continuous cycle of debt, because you have to keep, the lifestyle there is also very, very expensive. So um, but they're still able somehow to send money home. But coming back with nothing is a challenge. Is maybe they feel a sense of failure. They don't want to explain too many stories or stuff like that, to be asked too many questions, because they haven't come to terms with their own situation. So I think that's one of those are some of the reasons why people are reluctant to come home. I know, for instance, we have a relative who is, keeps saying he's coming, he's coming, he's coming, he's coming, and we know he's not coming. You know what I'm saying? He's not coming. He
Yeah,
has been
Mami,
saying
hizo
that
true.
for like
tulitaka
12
stori za
years.
jaba.
Stories are jabba. Yes, that's right. Yeah. Fake stories. But by the way, there's some people who say they're coming. And then just the other day, we had my cousin who came after how many? 25 years of being away. She came in December. She said, it is time. It is time to come back to my roots. And she came and she brought her
Sorry,
child.
Mami, ebu maliza cause I wanted to
Oh,
jump on
sorry.
that. It
I
really hurt me kabisa, nilikuwa nataka kuongea juu ya story.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead. And then can I read Ida's comments and then you can jump
Sure.
in just to read them? Okay.
I
Ida,
just don't want to.
okay,
I
no.
just want to make sure that I didn't jump into
Yeah.
Mami too much kama ako amemaliza.
All right.
Mam, ulikuwa
Let's
umemaliza?
Susan.
Cause
Susan
yeah.
finished.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so let me
Yeah,
read
go
Ida's
ahead.
let me read Ida's comment now, and then can you just hold your thought, and then I'll read Ida's comment because I want to include those guys who are in the comment section. Yeah. Okay, so Ida is saying something very interesting here, she's first of all laughing at me, thank you very much. And then Fia is saying, true, as a family, Fia is saying, true, as a family, we will visit Nigeria and Zimbabwe, not move back permanently. You see? Many people are thinking that going home is more of a visit than actually going back permanently. And then Ida is saying, Ida, who's in the US, she's saying, so yesterday, the president of Colombia was pleading with Trump to not use military aircraft to deport his citizens because of the embarrassment. Trump threatened him with 25% levy on exports from Colombia. The president backed down and accepted the deal. It's funny. So, in terms of going back home, Ida is also saying it's a mindset. If you believe in functional systems like lights and water and medical, it becomes a choice. Now, the question is different countries in Africa are at different stages of development. I think that in some countries, such as maybe Kenya, South Africa, and many countries, even Tanzania, we do have running water and lights and electricity 24 hours. Nigeria doesn't, which is strange, being such a rich country. They don't have that. But on the other hand, medical facilities are here. We do have medical facilities, and we even have a situation right now where, because, for example, people who live in the UK, because of the NHS, the long waits on the NHS, a lot of people who live in the UK come here to Kenya, to the Aga Khan Hospital for treatment. And I met a lady who's Asian, whose mother came here for treatment when she broke her leg because the wait was going to be too long in the UK, even if she had free healthcare. I believe my cousin is also here from the US, and she's not going back because she's able to see a doctor quicker here in Kenya. And she lives in the US, and she actually has fully paid insurance. She's, one of those people who pays insurance completely. Okay, then Ida is also saying it's so true. The governor of Florida has now decided that you have to show proof of permanency or citizenship to be able to remit money abroad. Seriously. Ati what? Let me read that again. You have to show proof of permanency or citizenship to be able to remit money abroad. My goodness. Okay, now sorry about that, Kenya with love. You were saying something in response to Susan.
Now you've changed my whole my whole conversation, and I know Mami will understand me. Please allow me.
Paula Sana, Paula, sorry about that.
Yeah, with that conversation now you've changed me because you've made me go in a different kind of trajectory. You know, for the longest time I've been asking myself, and this goes to that comment, I think it was Ida or somebody, about the countries. Let me ask you guys, what is it that we lack in Africa or in our countries? What is it that we lack? Can someone tell me one thing that we
Good
lack?
leadership. Good leadership. Good leadership. That's what we lack. But many countries lack that too. We lack good leadership. But honestly, seriously, right now, like in Kenya, we lack almost nothing. Honestly. And maybe advanced medical care, maybe. But we have a lot of, we're quite advanced in many ways. I mean,
Are
if
we short of doctors? I thought we even brought some from Cuba.
we, what would you say about that, Susan?
We are not short of doctors. In fact, we're not even able to absorb them. We're not even able to employ all the ones that are there. In fact, it's a very unfortunate situation. That could be a governance failure or problem because not enough resources have been allocated to absorb skilled personnel. So we do we have quite a lot of doctors who are not employed. Um, so I don't think the problem is that we have a shortage of the doctors. I think the issue of why they were bringing those doctors had something to do with money. Maybe they were accepting less money and they were being subsidized too.
Mm-hmm.
Countries also try to look for employment for their people. So they will send them, somewhere else so that they can get jobs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My question's good. Thank you, Mami. You've answered that very well. So we know the health sector, we are not short of anything. Are we short of the engineering side? Um, Aircrafts and all those, and the engineering part. Are we short of that? I mean, I bet Mangu High School actually graduates people to go to high school where they have an aircraft that is always taking care of how to deal with aircrafts right there. Mangu High, okay. Let me just hurry this one so that I don't take too much of your time. So technologically we are not short of anything. I mean, when it comes to media and these things, what you call social media and stuff like that, we have. I mean, I guess there's no country that can beat KOT. Kenyans on Twitter, they are the biggest defense forces. I mean, they've wamechapa kila mtu.
Yeah, we're nasty
You
people.
know?
Mm-hmm. On Twitter.
Yeah, I mean,
Kenyans on social media, my God. Yeah,
what
okay.
industry are we short on that we even can even extract people from our country, because the best, I mean, look at Wangari Maathai.
We are
Even if you,
exporting labor. That's a fact. We are
yeah,
export.
even
We have a lot
Wangari
of
Maathai.
potential. We have a lot of potential, but we haven't got the support from the government in terms of finances, financing ideas like what China does. China finances its youth, to produce its manufacturers, its businesses, and that's what they did after COVID. After COVID, what they did, hey, they pumped in a lot of money into the businesses, a lot, and came up with trade deals with different countries all over the world. So they're producing, in fact, they're producing more than can be absorbed now outside of China. And that's the reason why
So
China is
basically,
so
since I'm telling you, we are
yeah,
our
they're so
own worst
innovative because
enemy.
of that.
We are
Hmm.
killing ourselves. We are our one worst enemy, and we don't like talking about the
Yes.
facts.
Yeah.
When sijui nani munasema sijui, oh sijui, you have these politicians standing somewhere and talking about matope that does not even make any sense in my own side, on my dictionary. Then you're out there and we look like fool. Sorry, we look like FOOLs when we really like come out there and even clap. I mean, why would you even clap for someone who's talking nonsensical things? Sister, I'm sorry, and my mom, I'm
And this
really
is this is
completely.
the reason, yeah, this is the reason why I rarely talk politics anymore in Kenya, because I think it's such a waste of my brain. It's a waste. Who are we talking to? You know? They're not at our level. We can't talk. There's this gentleman who has come on here. Can you wrap up so that I can take up some of these, because he's answering kind of your questions. Can you maybe read those comments from Adrian Terry, and maybe answer them as you speak? Kenyan with love, because it's kind of like what you're talking about here.
Yeah, I can only see
Can you
one.
see? Can you?
Yeah, I can
He's
only
got
see one. He
many.
says, final question from me
Start
over
from the
and
first
above.
one. Only question that matters, yeah, is
Oh,
what can't Kenya government and her citizenry at large not buy in Kenya shillings? Yeah, and that's the question that he's saying that matters. What does government and her citizens clamor for? Why does government and her citizens clamor for foreign currency? Adrian, first of all, tell us: are you Kenyan, or are you in Kenya? Are you from the South, or are you American? That will help us, in terms of responding to your question, because we'd know, like, from what background, what are you assuming? What are you really assuming? Or you're in America, in America, any corner you land in and you ask them what they are Americans. Yes, I am from Kenya. Oh, I see. Okay, so your point is, what is your point, really? Maybe instead of asking questions, maybe tell us what you really want to say. Maybe we don't may not understand what you're really saying. Yeah, maybe make it clearer. So go on, Kenyan with love. Continue, please.
no,
So what you were saying
yeah,
basically
yes,
is
yes.
that we have all the facilities in Africa and in Kenya basically. But you see, Ida just said to us here that in Cameroon, in her country of Cameroon, they are short of facilities with functioning technology. That's true, but on the other hand, we have an opportunity to harness what's available in other countries around us, like Ibrahim Traore has done. So we have Burkina Faso and Mali and Niger all pooling their resources together, coming together as one block. I think we're on the way to that. And if these people would just leave us
Sis,
alone,
can I,
we would get
sis,
there.
sis, I'll
Yes,
be
go
back in a
ahead. Go
minute.
ahead.
Can I ask you just a quick question? And I want you to talk with it with also mom here. Do you understand what the unite? I mean, I know you do, but I want, and this is a rhetorical question. The United States of America, how
Mhm.
many countries? I mean, well, people, when you say countries, they don't understand, but how many states?
50.
Four, 54.
54
I,
now.
yeah, adding Puerto Rico and all that. Okay, 54.
Oh,
And you can remember this when you talk about a state, people think like ni kama kwenda Machakos, unatoka Machakos unaenda
Wewe ongea
unaenda
Kizungu
Karugewa.
wewe.
Okay,
Ongea
it's
Kizungu.
kind of like moving from Machakos to go to Kerugoya, or going from Nairobi to go to maybe Kisumu, right? But it's such a big country. It's a continent, actually. It's not a country. It's a
Mm-hmm.
continent
Mm-hmm.
of countries that have come together and have decided to become not even a continent but become a country. I mean, they even fake us to believe that they are a country. It's not a country, it's a continent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But then,
It's true. America is
yeah,
really a continent, honestly. Mm-hmm.
yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
the little African countries coming from Mohammed, I mean Gaddafi, and going to all those
Mm-hmm.
people that have actually
Uh-huh.
tried to bring the country together. I mean the whole,
The continent
okay, the
together.
continent
Mm-hmm.
together to
Yeah.
be called
Mm-hmm.
United. I don't know if we were going to call it United States of Africa, or
Mm-hmm.
we have to move on to a different name because United States of America is already there. But
Yeah.
the problem is when you look at the Traores of the day, and the people who have really, like even Tanzania, who have really brought their taken
Mm-hmm.
even how many tribes they have, 100
Nyerere.
plus
Mm-hmm.
Nyereres,
Mm-hmm.
bringing the country together to where they
Together.
say we speak
You have
together.
Julius Malema also in South Africa. Yeah,
Yeah,
trying
Malema
to
too.
bring us together. Mm-hmm.
Yes, but
Mm-hmm.
here in somewhere like Kenya, yeah, Nigeria, we can't even take care of what? How many tribes? I mean, either or. We're not even getting this thing right. For how
Yeah.
long? My question is, for how long are we going to stay with Africa as divided is, and thinking about America and Swaziland and all these other countries are the bigger people that we are even have to use our
Switzerland. Uh-huh.
yeah, whatever. I
Yeah.
mean, for how long are we going to sit and think about this and not believe that we are capable and we are the hub of Africa? Because ask me where the lion says, ask me where Kasongo is. Not the Kasongo, the president. I'm talking about the other Kasongo, the king of the
Did you
lion,
know
the
that
new one.
Ivory Coast also calls their president Kasongo?
Yeah.
I was shocked. Yes, Watara is also called Kasongo. And the reason is because, the meaning of the song is something like Kasongo is actually the name of a husband. I don't know, you've left me. I don't know what. But actually, it's because he keeps traveling a lot. That's the reason why. He was always traveling a lot and going to comfort Macron. Remember? Watara. Yeah, he's a sellout, Kabisa, of Ivory Coast. Yeah. So, but anyway, now Ida is saying that she believes that you can choose wherever you're born, and I mean, you don't choose where you're born, but as an adult, you can choose where you want to call home. Absolutely, there are
Yeah.
individuals who have decided to call America, Europe, wherever home, and that's just fine. That's okay. We're talking about those people who are there, but would like to come back home. They don't feel a sense of belonging. They haven't chosen to call Europe and America home. They want to come back and reintegrate back home, but they can't for some reason. They have their doubts and fears and all those things. And the thing is, I think it's just fine because I also have a son, and he's also struggling. Which where does he want to call home? Is it America or is it Kenya? Whenever he comes home and he sees development, he's like, I'm coming home. And then the next minute, when he sees Kasongo, he's like, hey, I'm going back to America. You see? So he's not really sure where it's going to be. But what we're saying is, of course, it's down to individual choice. But the vast
I think
majority of people in Africa want to be in Africa. Vast
I, I
majority.
think I think if I may jump in, I think the draw of going to the West is the maybe the stability and the strong, maybe the governance systems and the economy is thriving,
Yeah.
and you're
Hmm.
able to um to fulfill your dreams,
Hmm.
sort of. That is the idea in people's mind. Although we've been seeing a lot of videos saying, talking about the American dream for people who have moved to other countries, or, the ones who have gone to Europe, different countries in Europe. have settled there and been there for many years. So I think the reason why people move to other countries is that in search of better opportunities, in search of a stable system which will be conducive to them
Mm-hmm.
thriving, and that's why you go to study in other countries, so that because they have stronger institutions perhaps of education, and that's when you go there and then you realize perhaps the things you are looking for, the system doesn't quite work the way you imagined it would work, and you find
Mm-hmm.
that you're not able to to achieve as much as you thought you could. There are, of
Mm-hmm.
course, some people who have gone, people we know who have gone, and they're working for World Bank and some of these really high paying institutions, who are thriving, you know
Mm-hmm.
but many people, they have to, and we've seen even Kenyans who have, and I'm sure people from other parts of Africa and other parts of the world who have started businesses in the US, and they're thriving. We attract I saw something about some people who had, uh, they went there and they now have a fleet of trucks, long
Yeah,
distance
Kenyan
lorries.
business. Yes.
Yes,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
there are people who are thriving, but it's not
Yeah.
for everybody, and that's why perhaps the longing of coming home, but coming home with what to do what, they're not so sure that they'll be able to adjust to the different lifestyle here, after being away for such a long period of time. But like you
Mm-hmm.
said, and as has been shared even on the comment section, it's really about choice. And like that gentleman and his family, they decided they're coming back home. They had
Mm-hmm.
opportunity, they had a good job there, but they still felt something was missing. And they
Mm-hmm.
decided they
Mm-hmm.
wanted to come back home.
Yeah.
And I think because of their work, they're able to continue to work wherever they are, because they
Yeah.
just need, they can use their computers and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. So
Yeah. One of
I
the
think,
greatest motivations, you're right, Susan, is also children. Mm. Education of the kids, you know, the value systems are different
yeah,
out there. Mm.
yeah.
You and I
I
have
think
lived
that
outside, we know. Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
why many people find their way to America, and now many of them are trying to self-deport or finding themselves as undocumented, citizens, or not citizens, undocumented people and illegal immigrants, and that's why they've been caught
Susan,
up in this net. But I think, like Matu has said, it's not, they have to go through a legal process. You have to, even here in Kenya, when the Ethiopians and all those guys are caught, they have to go to court first, and then they are deported by a court order. There's a system, there's a way that it works. So it might not be an immediate thing. May take some time for it to happen. If there's a backlog of 3.3.5 million cases, I don't know how quickly they'll be able to process the ones they've caught
and the
now,
thing, Susan,
especially.
I'm not a lawyer, Madam Susan. I'm not a lawyer. You know the law better than I do, and I think even Queen knows better than I do. But for me, I'm gonna speak from a layman's language, from just a common mwananchi
Mm-hmm.
who has gone out there, seen the world, and understood that. And I'm gonna speak also as a father, because I'm a father of a kid. By the way, Queen Mona and mjaniambia happy birthday. Anyways, today is my
Is it your
birthday.
birthday today? Happy birthday.
Happy
Hey.
birthday!
No, is that why you decided to come back home? Eh? Welcome
Happy
home.
birthday to you!
Susan is a big choir mistress. Happy birthday to
Birthday to
you.
you! Happy
Ha-
birthday,
That one is Zungu Zungu. Let's do
Amata!
this other one.
I am
Happy birthday. No, what is it? Happy birthday
Happy
to you.
birthday,
Happy
dear
birthday. Happy
Martin,
birthday, dear
dear
Kenyan
Martin.
with love. Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday,
I
The
am
Kenyan with
humbled.
the
happy
love.
birthday
Happy birthday to you.
to
Happy
you,
birthday
happy
to you.
birthday to
Happy
you, happy
birthday, Kenyan
birthday
with
to
love. Now you
you.
owe us a cake. Where the hell is it? Eh? I don't.
I
Fortunate we
I'm
don't.
here. This is
We have
now
M-Pesa. Would
that's
you like me to
exactly
give
the
you
essence
our
what I'm
M-Pesa
talking
number now?
about. Now, and for me now, you guys have,
Fia
and
says happy birthday to you also.
I'm completely humbled. For you hata kuniimbia hizo vitu, you see,
Of
these are the
course.
things that we don't get in the, where we live kule tunakaaga. We don't
Yeah,
get people
that's
to
the
sing
added
us happy
advantage of
birthday,
being back home. We can sing for you and appreciate you. Yeah.
in
Why
Kenya
not?
nyinyi, in Kenya all of you would have been probably with either mmoja geniita tuende tukule kakeki huko, ama hata si keki, hata
He
kambuzi.
insists on speaking Swahili. What he's saying, because we have to
Oh,
translate it for the rest of you. Yeah.
okay, so
One
like
of us would have, okay, yeah,
even
say it
get
in
a
English,
cake
my friend.
or something. Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
stop talking the Swahili part of it.
It's because you're thinking of the other channel. And by the way, is it still on? Sound Candid Live. Are you still there?
No,
Hmm?
yes, yeah, that one is on, and we also have another one we started with Stone PK. But anyway, that's
Oh,
something
really?
to talk.
Okay. But
Yeah,
you
we
need to
have
invite
another
us
one.
to that, okay? Please invite me to that. Invite us. In
Okay,
fact, write down the link over there, down there, so that we can join you.
yeah,
Write down the link to that particular channel. It's very interesting. That one is on politics. So for Adrian, that's the right place to go. Adrian, that's the place to go to talk politics, you know? Because right now we're not talking really politics. We're just talking about the issue of illegal immigration and what are the rights of illegal immigrants and what are the opportunities in Africa, in Kenya. So according to Adrian, what he's saying on here is that we have a governance issue, and we need to go back to demonstrations, to take the country back as the common people. And if we can't come together and have a common path, all this is a wasted effort. And a lot of people believe the same thing that you're saying, Adrian. Yes, we do believe and we do share your sentiments, but we also believe that development can also come in many ways apart from just demonstrations. There are many things that we can do apart from demonstration. I don't think we've done enough research to discover other avenues, to make people act in the favor of the common man without having to go protest on the streets. Although that is very powerful, there are many things. We can boycott businesses, we can withhold our labor. There's so many things. We can decide not to pay taxes. There's a lot of things that we can do to paralyze the government. But we think that the only way to do it is to go demonstrate on the streets. And that's one thing I want to say, that depends on the people in power, depends on the government you have in power. If you have a reasonable government in power that's willing to listen to the people, that's humble enough to listen to the people, that takes positive criticism positively and wants to make a change, that is okay. But if you have a government that only thinks of responding with violence, then I don't really think it's working. I don't think it works. I think in some cases we have to devise new tactics. Yeah, they say there are many ways to kill a cat, but I like to say there are many ways to feed a cat. Hmm? Yeah. So there are many ways that we need to explore different options. Another way is also to come together with citizens of other countries around us. Yeah. And decide to actually implement the African Union free, what is it, common trade agreement, free trade agreement. Yeah, and which allows free movement of persons and goods all over Africa. This is something that was supposed to be implemented like 5 years ago, and it was only stopped by COVID. And we should actually go back. And I need to bring in one of the visitors who I need to bring in a visitor over here to talk to us about it. One of the people who are actually writing that document now so that we can see how to implement it. If we have more Kenyans traveling and seeing not just Kenya as their country, but see Africa as our country, then we can decide we're all going to get up and go and work with the government that is good, that is willing to work with us. So if we can all get up and move to Traore, we go to Traore's country and we build it. We build that part of Africa. If we're going to build the Sahel region, we go and build there. We go
Queen Mo,
and build,
can I
we go and
finish what
work
I
with the
wanted to
people who
say?
are willing to work with the people. We don't have to force, we don't have to force ourselves to work with people who don't want to work with the people. You take your labor to where it's wanted, and you take your criticism there too. Your critiquism there too, not criticism, but critiquism. Okay, Ida has something to say, but go ahead, Kenyan with
Yeah,
love.
yeah, I brought you guys got excited about my birthday, so and I was trying to
What? How?
ask.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So tell us, how are you
Yeah,
celebrating
and
your birthday today?
I just put on your comment section. You'll see the a token act TV. So that's the other channel that we are on there. It's Stone PK and all people, and you guys are welcome on it. But what I was trying to say and what I wanted to bring to limelight is what Mom actually had spoken about here. You see, a lot of people that actually live in the US, it's some of them, it's more about the kids. It's not about themselves. For me, being a dad myself.
So you're there because of your child, actually, not
Yes.
because of yourself.
No, no, no. I would have been in Kenya driving a boda boda. I mean,
Living a simple
yeah,
life.
yeah,
Mm,
simple life. No,
mm-hmm,
no, no. I'm not here for me. I'm here for my kid, which is a she.
mm-hmm.
So a lot of people out here, mostly especially the parents, after the thing of people in Kenya looking at them a certain way, that you lived in Kenya and you lived in the United States, or you lived wherever you wanted to live and you came back with nothing. After that, that is not the biggest thing. Most of us parents really do not care about that. You can call me whatever you want to call me. You can tell me how many years I lived out there. But mostly is about our kids, especially after you become a parent. At that point, you are thinking about, now, here's a kid that maybe was born in a different country. Do they even know how to speak my native language? Do they not know? How are they going to survive if actually I decide today and I tell her, I'm going to take you home and you're going to go live in Kenya or live in Nigeria for that good reason? You're going to go back home and you're going to have to be fighting with chicken and pigs and cows running around you and everything, and all they are used to is running around cars and things like that. So that is the biggest thing, and that is what I was trying to say, because even the reason, like right now in our African countries, we are finding that is the diasporans who are actually agitating for a change, is because they are looking actually at their kids that have been born away from that scenario. Because for me, if you take me back to Kenya, I don't have a problem. I can sit there, run around, and do everything. And I don't know, Queen. I can get on a boda boda and come to your house every day of my life.
You
But
so
is my
surprised.
daughter going
Oh
to
my
get there?
God. You
Is
got
my
it
daughter
all
going to get there?
wrong, Kenyan with love. You got it all wrong. Let me tell you my experience, real experience, and I've had the same experience with my niece as well. When I brought my son back from the US, I had the same fears because he was 7 years old. Yeah, by the time he came back, I tell you, the boy fitted in here like a hand in a glove. He was the happiest. He used to run everywhere. He was so excited to see that he has so many uncles and aunts and free space, sunshine 24/7. Mm? He loved it. He loved being here. He enjoyed
That's
the food, the
that's
attention.
yours.
He had
That's
somebody.
yours.
No, it's not just mine. It's not just mine. My sister's daughter also. When she came, she was like 5 years old. She came again when she was six. Same thing. And then I also have friends who actually came from school. They came from high school in the UK and they joined our school. I went to a Loreto school. There's one girl and her whole family. The father, I think, was a diplomat, and they came when the kids were in high school, Form 2, Form 3. And it was one of the biggest concerns because she had a very strong British accent coming in. A whole Kenyan with a British accent coming into class. She spent literally all her time laughing in class because she found all the students so funny. Yeah, she found them fun. Kenyans have a really amazing sense of humor. Yeah. So she was always laughing constantly in the class. We were always looking at her. What's wrong with her? Because we're used to cracking jokes. She's used to it. So I think that you should not worry too much about your children. In fact, I think the children are much happier in Africa. And in fact, if you look at, if you have lived in Kenya for a long time, you know these, we call them Karen cowboys, these British people who settled in Africa a long time ago, and the day that they are told that they're going back to England, do you remember how many times, how much they used to cry? Susan, do you remember how they used to cry? They used to cry in my school. They'll be told that they're going back, they're packing up, they're
You
going
need to
back to
slow
the
down on
UK.
this one, Queen.
They would cry, literally cry. They're like, they don't want to go back to the UK. They
Queen
don't.
Mo, you need to slow down on this one, please.
I am not
On
going to
this
slow
one,
down on it because
no, no, because
you need to know that actually we have everything here. Now there's nothing we don't have. And we even have much more
yeah, but
variety
as a
and
parent,
selection.
you're not getting this. As a parent, you're watching this. You know, Queen Mo,
Maybe
I've
school
known
fees.
you.
That's the part. Yeah.
No, no, but I've known you. You know, I was in Kenya to bury my dad. Okay, I came back. And the reason I came back was just to come back because of my daughter. Okay. Now it's not just, I'm not talking about me. This has nothing to do with Martin. This has to do with a lot of people that I've watched, that even they travel back and do everything that they have to do, but then come back because of their kids. Let me tell you, as a parent, when you have a kid, irregardless, irregardless wherever you live, whether it's in Kenya, whether it's in Nigeria, whether it's in Cote d'Ivoire, whether it's in wherever you live, whatever it is, let me tell you, that kid actually dictates you where you're going. Now, I told you before, I gave you the first analogy of people being scared of coming home, not to be stereotyped. But then now, when you have a kid, then again you're also thinking about this kid. What are they gonna do? Because you're not just gonna come and sit just because you have, assuming you have a house, is just sit there. I mean, they have to go to school, they have to do whatever. So also
Hmm.
these kids and how the the structure of how they are going to live. So when you have a kid, it becomes again a very complicated endeavor. Assuming me, myself, I was to be brought to Kenya and it's over. You leave America, go there. Now, I can leave the stereotype. Personally, I can deal with the stereotype for as long as I'm as a hardcore as I am. I can leave the stereotype of Queen Mo and Mama Susan telling me you've been in the United States for 15 years. What did you do? I can leave that stereotype, which is not a good one. I mean, yeah, of course, we all know. But
Yeah.
now,
But you have a
yeah,
good
yeah, yeah.
job. You have a good
But
job in
listen,
the US. You can
but
get a good
now,
job here.
yeah, but
Hmm.
now, if I bring my daughter in that in that system,
Have you tried it? Have you tried it?
I have
You
not
can
tried,
come for
but
a
I'm
sabbatical
just
for a
saying.
year and try
I'm
it.
just saying, if you bring your kid out there and you want them to actually live a certain way, I don't know if you understand me. Sijui kama
No, I
mommy,
don't. I
you
don't
don't.
understand it. I don't understand it. I'll tell you why. Because you
Okay.
assume that the education system is superior in the US. You assume that the quality of life is superior in the US, and it's not. In Africa, children have minders, they have people looking after them. You can employ help. You have relatives who are there for your child. Your child has society, an entire society. It's not a better life out there for children. I tell you it's not. In fact, I think children should be raised in Africa, and then once they know who they are, then they can get up and go there. Otherwise, there's a lot of things that they're exposed to in those countries that they don't necessarily need to be exposed to. You know, they're sheltered much more here in Africa. We give them time to grow up. There's plenty of time for them to grow up here. And you get a lot of help and a lot of support, and that helps your mental health.
Yeah, but the
Unfortunately,
problem is the
unfortunately,
geopolitical problem. The geopolitical problem with Africa is also a problem that we have to deal with. You
yes,
see
it is a problem. I'm
yeah.
not saying that it's not. No, I'm not saying it's not. It's something we have to fix. And if you don't like it in Kenya, we have Tanzania. If you don't like it in Tanzania, we have Botswana. We have other countries. We have Lesotho. We have you can go to Morocco. Africa is gigantic. It's huge. There's so many other countries. The thing is that we always want to nail down just one little country, the one that we know. No, Africa is huge. And I
But Kenya is my home. If I already have lived in the United States, mommy, can you help me here? Why are you keeping quiet, mom?
because it's late. It's time for us to close the show.
Because
Okay, let me read. Let
I'm
me read
quiet
Ida and
because
Jay's.
it's
Let me read
about
Ida's comments first, and then she can help you. Ida says, "I once took a class on family social sciences. The said life is what? The sad life. What is it? Can I even see properly? They said life is like a long conversation, and when you break the chain of the conversation, it's hard to get back into the groove of it. If you leave home for 20, 30, 40 years, you've missed the trend of the conversation, and you still are a stranger to the conversation of your new community. Therefore, the complexities of living abroad is truly lifelong. Actually, I totally agree with that, Ida. Yes, depends on how long you've been abroad, but also remember that there are always people returning who have also spent that much time abroad. And I'll tell you, my sister's friend just returned to the US just the other day, just before Trump was inaugurated. She returned. Yeah, and she returned with her three kids. She was living here. She moved from the States. She came back here, and then she went back to the US. Yeah, and the reason is because of that. She wasn't able to integrate and remain in the country. It is not easy. It's not. I've seen that many people come here to Africa and they remain about 5 years, and then they end up going back if they're not able to integrate. Yeah. Um, Ida is also saying that there's some who choose to keep my children in America. As someone who chose to keep my children in America, I am grateful because the success is greater than I had ever seen in 3 generations. Fantastic, Ida. Yes, depending on it depends on your background, your lifestyle, your support systems, your structures, and all these things. And yes, Ida's kids are super super successful, but then there are also our children who we decided to come back, Susan and I, and our children are also super successful. Mine is even back in the US, and you know him, Ida. Chije is back there and he's very successful, a homeowner, doing very well. Okay, so it's not about where you bring up the kids. It's really just about your environment, your supportive structures and environment, and also your attitude, and maybe the facilities that are available in the country, the facilities that are available, and your financial situation also. Susan, please, yeah, add. Sorry to
I,
interrupt you. I'm going to let you now
I'm going.
Honestly,
moderate.
I don't agree with you on that one.
Okay,
I've never
it's okay.
disagreed with you.
Let Susan respond to you. She was coming on to your defense.
No, no, I was just going to say, I was listening to conversation clearly, and to me, I think it boils down to your choices and the way you've evaluated the situation, because I think each family's context is very different.
Yeah,
Like the
that's
example
true.
you gave earlier was these guys were working with good jobs in the US and decided to come to move back to Kenya after very many years, and they moved back with their children, and they even talked about their children. It's really about the way you see what your priorities and what is important to you with regard to your children. We've seen families sending their children back, say to Kenya, to come to school because they were not happy with the rules regarding upbringing of children in the US. So they put them in boarding schools in Kenya, and they continue to work in the US or other countries out, other countries around the world. So it's really an individual decision. Others make decisions like yours, Mato. They decide to stay in one of the Western countries in the US, so that they feel that environment is better for their children's opportunity. Possibly you're looking at a university education, them staying there and getting a university education. And if you stay there, maybe they'll be able to work and study at the same time and not experience some of the challenges of people who are not able to because you're not citizens, you're not able to work while you're in university. So it's really about what you deem is important at the end of the day. And I think that is a very individual decision. There's one thing we've not talked about here, and it's the issue of um, Kenyans reporting one another for purposes of them getting deported. We haven't talked about that, and I'd be very interested to hear what people
Yeah,
feel about
we
that.
haven't about that, but it's been actually reported. If you go into TikTok, you're gonna see, and also into YouTube, you'll see that people have made videos about this. Kenyans calling in to the authorities to report. Because maybe they think that they're gonna get some sort of money, like $750 they were talking about. That I think they were talking about ICE offering them 750. Then they were told no, it's not really true. Blah blah blah. Not really sure whether it's true or not. But then there are Kenyans who are calling in to report other Kenyans. And what's scary is that this was actually reported by a Kenyan who is working in the system, okay, who is one of the officers. Do you know that probably ICE even has Kenyans in there? Eh? So they end up actually receiving the call from a Kenyan, a fellow Kenyan, and then they notify the Kenyan that they have been reported. Yeah. And they were saying that the only people that they will accept that you should report are maybe the illegal children of politicians, corrupt politicians in Africa. Do that, report them. But right now, we're all fighting poverty. So don't do that. Let the immigration do their work. Let the ICE people do their work. Don't do the job of ICE. And I think we can discuss this one again on Wednesday because I don't think we've even exhausted this subject. We didn't have very much time to discuss it, and time
I
is
wanna
already flown.
I wanna throw something
Yeah,
here,
throw
Mato.
something in there, and please
Yeah,
join us on Wednesday, Mato. Please.
I will try. I always try whenever I have
Yes,
the
I know
chance.
you can. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
you two ladies,
And
the
we're
one
going
thing
to join you also. We're going to
huh?
join you also. We're going also going to join your channel,
I did. Did you see it?
Talk and Act TV. Talk and
Yeah,
Act TV. It's right in there.
yeah. That's me,
Yeah.
Stone PK, and we are
Yeah,
there.
Stone PK is fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So this this thing is hurting me a lot.
Now
Because
I'm laughing at you.
the problem is that I've been here so long to understand what happens and how it happens. I don't know if you guys are finding out right now, but Kenyans and not just Kenyans, even Africans, to mess up a job for you is so quick, very quick. It doesn't even take 2 seconds. They will mess your job. They will say that, oh, I heard someone tell me that you're too privileged. Oh, you can go to Kenya wherever time you want. You can do whatever. And it becomes like a problem. I'm like, shouldn't you be happy for that? Because at least if I can go, I can take even your mom a present. You're sending me your mom a present every time I go to Kenya, right? But then you're here talking about that, oh, you're too privileged, and you go even mess my job, you know? You go to my job and then you go and tell them, oh no, this one, whatever, whatever. You just don't want me to be doing better than you. It's a big problem.
By the way, I read, yeah, I saw some
Huh?
videos about that Kenyans will actually wait for people to get drunk at parties
Yeah,
and then allow them to drive their cars and then call the authorities to say that this person is driving drunk and this is their car registration number.
exactly.
Just imagine. Why would you do that? And Ida is saying that this is evil happens in every community, envy and jealousy. I tell you, Ida, it happens too much in the Kenyan community. It's just too much. I know it happens also there, but if you really compare, for example, if you compare with Nigerians, Nigerians protect each other. What's wrong with Kenyans, man? We are messed up. We're talking about this, Susan, about coming from toxic relationships, toxic family backgrounds. This is the problem. We come from toxic family backgrounds. And this is the problem. We need to have this conversation. What is wrong with us? It happens also back
Tell
here
you,
in our own country here.
tell you the truth.
You'll
I've
try to
had
spoil people's marriages. You'll try to spoil people's children. You'll spoil everything about them. You just don't want to see people get ahead. There's a problem.
tell you the truth. I've seen. I don't want to put names in anything, but I've seen somebody destroy somebody's marriage, destroy somebody's job, to even they are going into the workplace. I mean, why would you even be talking to my workplace? I'm not saying me. I'm just saying I've seen it. It might be me or not. But why would you even go to somebody's workplace to go talk to their boss, or just because you're whatever, and telling them that you think you're better than me just because you can travel and you can do whatever? I mean, don't you want to be happy about the fact that I can do all these things? So now you spoil that. You spoil the job. You spoil the workplace. You've messed up everything. Then all of a sudden now you want to come back and help them, because now you're the bigger person. You know, you want to feel like you're a bigger person. But unfortunately, what happens mostly is that after now they've destroyed everything, now you don't have it. Now is when now they realize that they messed up, because at that point now they have to stand, to stay. I mean, they have to help you out. And if they cannot help you out, then they have to throw you out, assuming even if it was your own house. So now they bit more than they could chew,
But
because
Kenyans are very happy to help you, but they don't want to see you actually arrive, you know? They're
no,
happy they'll
mhm.
pool resources together. We are very good at pooling resources together for calamities, emergencies, problems, but we don't like to see success. And that's one big problem.
Yeah, the
Like
problem
in
is that
England, let me
the
tell you what happens in England. There's this restaurant people go to in England. Don't even remember the name right now. And people go there, you go to the restaurant, and there are so many Kenyans in that restaurant. And the first thing I was warned is do not let anybody know that you have traveled to Kenya, because already that puts you in the category of the travelers, the people who can travel home and come back. That means you're not one of them. Many of them are illegals. Yeah. So you don't actually mention if you've been home, you're going for a trip, don't let them know, not because of any other reason, but because they're not going to feel safe with you anymore. You're going to become an outsider. So there's a group that travels home and there's the other group that doesn't travel home. I bet you it must be the same in the US.
nah, I'll say the same. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you remember you mentioned something about the rumor about the $750. I watched a video which said that was a rumor, but in Mississippi, the registered bounty hunters now for looking for illegal immigrants are going to be, if that bill passes, if Mississippi is trying to pass a bill where registered bounty hunters uh, will get 1,000 US dollars per person they find, illegal immigrant they find. So when you see that happening, yeah, that's Mississippi.
Oh my God.
You can you
Really?
can
This is
imagine
horrible.
how many
Mm-mm.
people they will get. How many of those
Snitch.
people will not
Mm.
be illegal? You know, because of the I think it's a very risky situation there. You know, where you'll have people getting caught up in it and they're not actually legal, but you have to go through the system to be proved for you to prove your case that you're not an illegal immigrant.
Yeah.
And court cases can be quite, something. They weigh heavily on you as you're going through it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So there's just so much
All
happening.
right. Unaona, the thing, you see, wacha kutingisha kichwa. There's so
You know
much
what?
that is going on in
It
the
gives me
world, eh?
some, it gives me thoughts about the past, which I don't want to bring, to the front. It makes me think about bad things that happened to us. Yeah. When people were being captured and caught and put on ships and sent abroad, there were snitchers. There were people who were paid. Yeah. To go and get people and put them on these boats. It's just unfortunate. It just gives me very bad deja vu,
Bad vibe.
bad vibe, very bad vibe. That you want to do, you want to do a job, but do it right. You know, do it right and do it fair. Yeah. Um.
No, the
Ida says
problem.
totally insane for Mississippi to go that low. Yeah, totally insane. I agree. Ridiculous.
The problem that we have, the problem that we do really have, and the one thing I like about when I come and listen to you and Madam Susan here, is because you guys actually have a kind of different kind of political, geographical, and also intellectual kind of way of looking things. Eh? This is a channel that sometimes I come in here to kind of look at it, not to go kupigana na kelele and other places that we go. Huyu anajua kule anaendanga. But here we do the intellectual thing. Do you see, like today we've spoken about where Kenyans don't want to come to Kenya? You know, why are Kenyans dying in the United States? Why are Kenyans dying in the UK? Why are people just, I mean, what is this that is so scary about coming back to Kenya? You know, what is it that is so scary? Tunaogopa nini?
I think we're going to debunk these myths the next
Huh?
show. I think that's a good topic for the next show, isn't it, Susan? Yeah. Why are Africans afraid to go back home after spending many years abroad and even achieving their mission abroad? Maybe they went to school, they got jobs, they've been working many years, and they wanted to come back home. What can we do better? How can we make Africa great again? Eh? But Africa has always been great.
But again, my sister, the same question I'm gonna ask you, the same question I asked you, and you didn't
Mhm.
answer me.
Ah,
What is it? What is it that we lack in? Maybe we have the wrong question. What is it that we lack in Africa?
I think, like I said
We
before,
answered it. We talked about
we
governance
took
and
we talked
economy,
about the leadership.
driving economy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
I'm pushing that. I'm pushing that.
San Diego.
Yes, we get it. What we lack in Africa, and why is it that people are scared of coming back to Africa, and why we are burying Africans outside outside the
Hmm.
country, and they just don't want to come. Both of you, you guys, I mean, you guys lived outside the country, and you made it back, and you made it your way to do what you do today, and also right now you're doing civic education. I'm very lucky to be here with you guys, but you guys
Oh,
actually
thank
took
you.
your time to actually take your time, and that flight, that the flight that you took it back to Kenya, and you went and you're there and you've done your thing. So how do we help these other people, including me, you use lovely, including me, to come back to Kenya and
Yeah,
tell people that it's okay to come back to Kenya, and that we can do it,
yeah.
and we are not a third world country, and we are not going to be a third world country forever until Jesus comes back. We can be Singapore of today, and can be the United States, and we can be everything. We're not gonna sit here telling United States telling us, oh, it's ati nyinyi ni what do they call us? That ah, we
SH countries.
yo sikuwa
That's
nataka
good. Let them
kusema.
see us that way because that keeps us safe away from them. Yeah. It's okay. It keeps us isolated. We're good. Mm. It's the same thing they probably used to call China. China. You know? China, look at it now, right now. My goodness, there's a lot to learn from China. A whole lot to learn from China. A whole lot. I've been doing a lot of research on China, and I think there's a lot of information that we could share with each other here that could actually propel our governments forward. If only they could get out of their bloody tribal politics. It irritates me to death. If we can just decide we are just going to give it a deaf ear and start thinking about innovation, just like the Chinese.
Lakini
If you go that way,
Queen Mo na mam, kwa nini ampende tukiwatusi? You can say bloody. Unajua sisi mimi tunatakaka kuwatusi vizuri, please. Haki siku moja tu nilete kwa hii channel tu haki na uniambie tu niongee matope yani. Haki Queen Mo,
you
please.
have a channel for speaking your rubbish, and that's what you're talking about, and you're saying it in Swahili so nobody can understand. But I know what you're saying. You want a space to vent. You can come and vent, but vent with ideas. That's what you do over here. Here we're venting with ideas, and we're going to bring people on board that can tell you about educational opportunities. And by the way, there are people who are super intelligent here, very super intelligent. People like you, Ida. Ida. Ida is, my goodness, this lady is somebody that needs to come back to Africa. She needs to come back. Even if it's just to come back and teach and train and mentor, she needs to come back. These are the kinds of people, these are the brains we need back. We need her back. Actually, Africa needs her. The thing is now to, like you're saying, to convince you guys to come back, we need to show you where your people are. And we know where they are. Yeah, as an evaluator myself, evaluated so many projects and so many programs. And I know so many universities, higher education institutions that are amazing in Africa. They're growing in leaps and bounds here. And they're churning out amazing graduates. And those people are being fished out by the West. And we need people like you guys. We need your brains here. We need you all to come back and we build our Africa again. And it may not, you may not be a beneficiary of the new Africa, but your child might be. And that's just the reality. You just learn to appreciate the present. In Africa, we live day to day, isn't it, Susan? We appreciate the present and we live for the present and we invest in the present, knowing that probably in the future may not be ours to appreciate. Yeah? It may not be ours to harvest, but our children will harvest it and our children's children will. And that's good enough. Because in
Yeah,
Africa, we
living.
believe Africa, we believe in what? We believe in the ancestors. We believe in even recreation. We believe in coming back again. That's why we have children. We rename them our names because we believe we're coming back again. Yeah, you come back and you live again. Yeah. So even if you don't harvest the future Africa, it will be a better one for your child. But if we all decide that we're going to go away and live in foreign countries and leave our Africa like that and develop foreign countries, then our children's children will have no place to call home like we had to call home. And that is the greatest tragedy. And this is why we are sitting on our Africa. And one of the greatest assets in Africa is land. And if you let it go, somebody out there with a big eye is targeting it. So you have to come here and clear your land. You have to come here and clear your assets because otherwise somebody will come and take it happily. And you'll have no assets and your children will be homeless and they'll be stateless.
Kwanza kuna kitu hapo umeguza sana hapo hivyo. Yeah, people need to come back and clear their assets and
We
sit on
have
their
to.
assets.
We have to.
If you don't do it,
Mhm,
you will die with your kids without even having those assets to sit anything or to
mhm,
even hold for their dad or their mom and everything.
mhm,
And I've been
mhm.
thinking about that thing. And
Yeah.
but when you're thinking about that, I'm also looking at the governorship. But I want to ask, I know you're about to close, but I want to ask you a question. Do you think if, yeah, if I was to come back, or if anyone sitting out there, I don't care wherever they are, UAE, wherever they are, they were just to sit on their assets while they're sitting out there, should they be able to pull the whole thing and show the governorship and what we need to do together, and even our kids, to bring them together, and not just say that I'm just gonna sit on my assets? I don't know if I asked the right question. Maybe nimechanganikiwa.
Umechanganyikiwa kabisa. What did you mean?
W-
Rewind.
okay, let me rewind. Let me
Okay.
move back. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
let me bring it back.
Okay.
So here you have a diaspora of the continent called Africa, right? So you have a diaspora of the continent called Africa.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then there's a problem
Mm.
going on in the same Africa that we are talking.
Mm-hmm.
At what point do we say is no longer about Africa or about whoever has traveled, but about us? And I think this is a good question for mom. At what point do we become crazy? Maybe that's what I'm asking. I'm trying not to be like a crazy person, but that's the point where I'm saying, like, I'm a Maasai, Mkamba Masai. I know how to fight na vitu kama hizo. I can get in huko tupigane na kasongo na tiger na nini and all that. At what point does it, mami? At what point does it become that now the gloves, the gloves, we gotta take the gloves off? That Ruto is not going to play with us. We are not going to play with him. We don't even care where he comes from. We don't care if he's a Maasai. We don't care if he's kule ametoka tujali, by the way. Kama ni, I hear he comes from somewhere around the roads of going to Sugoi. At what point do we just say we're done? We're going to hit you hard on one. You bring yours, we bring ours. I'm not declaring war. I'm just saying.
I think that's a topic. That's a topic for the next show, Wewe. That's a whole new topic, isn't it,
Mm.
Susan? What do you think? Mm?
Yeah, certainly, certainly. But just in brief, just off the top
Mm-hmm.
of my head,
Mm-hmm.
what we've seen, history teaches us that um, a country gets the leader it needs at the time, when an election is taking place. When you look at the US, you've had all different types of presidents. And when you look at what was happening in the US at that time, you ended up even with a president who was a peanut farmer, and you ended up with, the, the presidents who were oil men, and then you ended up with a president who was an actor, and you ended up with a president who was, black, and then you ended up with a president who was, who was Trump, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
even when you look at history, the people we choose to lead us are, I believe, are responding to a certain need that society needs at that time. And society is dynamic, and that's what determines what is needed at that time. So
Mm-hmm.
responses to oppression and stuff like that. Even look at in any of the countries represented in the conversation right now. Look at how your own country came to independence. What led up to that?
Mm-hmm.
It was just time. People had, like for instance, the Mau Maus had learned how to make guns and stuff like that because they were the
Mm-hmm.
carrier corps in World War I, and
Mm-hmm.
this period of preparation and planning and that sort of thing. So I think everything has its own time. It occurs at the right time. There's a generation that will always push ideas at certain time that will bring about certain changes. We had the multi-party system here. 202, what happened in Kenya? We had everybody coming up to vote. In fact, there was a landslide, whatever. where people
Mm-hmm.
just voted
True.
mostly on one side. That's what I believe, and if we study things more clearly, we can see it. Um, you know, Zimbabwe, the whites were ousted from authority, and then the blacks took over the authority, and then we had this brain drain where people
Mm-hmm.
from Zimbabwe went to other countries. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and when the people who are left there, you find there are big gaps actually now, and that is caused actually by uh, the governance, the economy issues. The people went out of the country to look for jobs because they were not able to earn enough money despite their skill set, even to look after their families. So people are working other countries to look after their countries in one country, to look after their families living in another country.
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe history always, just observing it and analyzing it to give us that answer.
Mm-hmm. Susan, that's a really good answer. That's a very good answer. I also don't believe in coincidences. And I also believe that, like you said, there's a leader for every season. And I think Trump is now there to push Africans back home. They're going to come back, and not just Africans, even even Westerners, even the whites are going to leave. Some of the ones who cannot tolerate Trump or that kind of environment will leave, and not just even about Trump. It's just about the way of life, capitalistic way of life. Yeah, the
Queen Mode,
billionaire kind of.
I'm clapping, I'm clapping, I'm clapping. I'm so
It
happy
will
to
get
what
to
you
a
said.
point where people are just the wave. You will just find yourself on a flight with the wave because the wave is coming back. It is coming back. I've seen it coming back. There's a great interest in coming home. Apart from being thrown out, there's also people who are leaving. And there are others who are young people, especially very, very young people. I saw many young people say they're going to China. Many of them. We've been lied to about China. We're going to China. And in fact, we're going to this we're going and we are leaving. And some of them are going to South America, some of them are going to China. Some black people have said, black Americans have said that they've they've never felt so discriminated in as they've no, they've never experienced the kind of discrimination that they experience in America when they leave America, and that shocks them. They've never felt so black. They never felt black in any other country in the world, apart from the country of their birth, that one in America. So, America is a fabulous country. Yes, it's wonderful. I love America myself. But on the other hand, it's not the only country that is available, and it's not the best place necessarily.
We
I
nani
don't buy that.
we
I don't buy
unataka
that.
kupewa nani atakupatia hii nini? Can someone please give this lady
Stop her from talking. Okay, mute her microphone. Okay, that's the best way to do it. Let's close the show, please, because we have to
no, no,
go.
no, no. I have
And
to
I have
finish.
I
I
have
have to
somebody.
finish
Okay,
this one.
you got the last word. Okay, you got the last word, and then we're
Yes,
closing the
I
show.
need this one. Let me
Okay,
tell
say it.
you,
Burning
Mungu
point.
Mungu mwenye amekupatia istu leo, you've gotten it right. I am
Hey,
telling you.
so you're coming
We,
home. Come.
yes,
Come home. Yes,
wewe
come
na
we eat
mama
come we
umeshika hii
eat nyama
kitu
choma. Come, come,
vizuri.
come, come. Come, bring that kid. There's so many. In fact, I've got a house help for you already, if not two.
Wawa,
Yes.
hapa
We'll look for the
mumeishika
school for the
wewe
child.
na mam.
We will
Ah,
look
ah,
for
ah,
the
ah, ah,
school.
ah, ah.
We will get your aunties and everybody together around you, and your child will thrive.
You've said it na ukaiweka chini na ukailaza na ukatupa na ukafagia, yaani hata yezi okotwa. Maji yakimwagika uwezi hayazoleki.
Honestly, sincerely, it's not as bad
No,
as you
it's true
think.
what you
You,
said.
my point is this: I will never allow one individual to make a decision about where I live. Never. Don't care whether it's a president or whoever it is. No, can't give them that kind of power. Can't, because our families are stronger. Our grandfathers, great grandpas, their energy is here. And even if they left, many of them left and they're gone, their energy, their work needs to be continued. We need to continue from where they stopped. And who's going to do the job if not you and me? We have to do it.
It's over. It's
We
between
have to do
it's
it. So,
ni sisi, mimi,
eh,
mam
this,
na wewe. Sisi ndio
eh,
tunachapana nao kabisa, hata wakifanya nini. I
yeah,
mean, they all think they won. Hakuna
there's
kitu iko.
no, 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 no. If the whole
Yeah.
diaspora decides to come back, I'm telling you, they're all in trouble, man.
Oh,
So
it's over.
you just,
It's done deal.
it's
I mean,
over.
really, you
Exactly.
can't even get diaspora. You can't even. Where are you
Yeah,
gonna get that? Really,
yeah,
what can you do about
yeah.
diaspora?
Even if they just trickle back in, even if they just start trickling back in,
Haya, tuchukue tu
the
uhuru
time
na
is coming.
tuachane nao wengine, tuchukue tu uhuru peke yake
Hmm.
tu, tuende tu
Yeah.
tukae na uhuru tu, tumwambie
There's no perfect country. There's no perfect country to live in. There's none. There's none.
So
Honestly, there's none.
basically, mom, what I'm trying to tell you is that I'm so glad about your channel because you're really educating people. And the one thing I like about you, both Wen and Susan, is that you come out here and actually not educate to come kupiga kelele. No, you educate with eloquency of exactly what it is. Mom comes here and tells us what actually she knows of what we need to do. For you, you come here. Yes, and Queen, you might not, inaweza kuwa una watu wengi sana kwa hii channel, but let me tell you, watu wenye wanakusikia is more important than kukuwa na 30 million people. Because if you can make sense to people, it doesn't make any
Thank you
sense.
very much. Just give me likes, and comments in there. That'd be really helpful. Share the videos with other people
I
and
do.
come on board. Come on board. And you see now, because Kenyan Love, because you're here, we have many more people watching us also. Okay. You're
Oh,
contributing to our show. And now you see you brought some other guys on here. Akina Ron are here. Adrian is here. There are people who are here because of you, I think, you know.
I hope so.
Ida has come on board, and we're so happy that she's here. Fia is here. Fia has always been here, and there's some other diehards who are always with us. But the thing is that we need the more people participate and even come into the studio, the better. The
And I
better, the more
appreciate, I
enriched.
actually appreciate them being around here because I mean, this is my sister's channel here,
Yeah, you've
and
also
also
encouraged us a
my
lot. Thank
mom's
you.
channel. And anyway, I'm always around in other places. Sitaki kusema hiyo channel ingine, wewe ndo ulisema utaisema, niliweka hapo. So kuna hiyo channel ingine pia si tumefungua huko. We are all sister channels, all of us. We have a lot of channels, and Queen Mo has always been our sister, and I have my mom here. So I just want to really appreciate everybody. Queen Mo, thank you so much. Najua nakujanga kusumbua, but unajua hii kusumbua ndio pia kujua.
I'm expecting you on Wednesday. Okay, there's no way we can sing happy birthday to you and you disappear. You have to come back on
Today's my
Wednesday.
birthday.
Yes, I know today's your birthday. Today's your birthday. We know that, and we need you back because on we have shows Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Fridays we talk relationships, but on Wednesday we're going to continue this political discussion. So I think just going to continue with this and maybe add a different angle. If you think we should discuss other things, you can always get in touch with me. But now it's getting to almost 1 o'clock, and like I told you guys, I'm
All
a
right.
carer
Thank
of
you,
an
thank you,
elderly
thank you,
person. I
thank you,
gotta
thank
go.
you. Can you send these guys to the other side? Maybe nitapatana nao. Hiyo yenye nilikuwekea hapo hivyo. Token.
Yes, 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 yes. You guys go
Na
and
hata
go
wewe
and
tupatane huko.
for those
Pia
of you who
unaweza tuma
like
watu huko. Pia si tunatuma huko.
heated political discussions, especially about Kenya,
Yeah.
yeah, then please go and join the channel. Where's the channel? Why did I lose it now? Or is
I
it
put
because
it up
people have
there.
been commenting a lot? Thank God for the comments. We got so many comments today. Really happy about that in the comment section. It's actually coming alive. What's the name of the channel again? It's disappeared.
Uh,
Can you write it
talk,
down,
talk,
please?
talk and act.
Talk and
Talk
Act.
and
Is it
act
Talk
TV.
and Act TV? Okay, Talk and
Yes.
Act TV.
Talk and
And Act TV. Okay,
yes.
Talk and Act TV. All right, fine. I'll look for it myself right now before I lose it. Yeah. Talk and Act TV. How do
Yes.
you write the Talk and Act? Just Talk and Act.
So it is talk TALK
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then capital N
Mm-hmm.
I mean that there's a space between that. So
Okay.
talk, space,
And
capital N,
act.
and yeah. Also the act
Act.
is a capital, and
TV.
then TV will be after,
Sure.
and nini a space after there.
All
Talk and
right.
act TV there. So nikina sisi Stone PK na si
Okay.
ati
If you could,
tumeharibu,
next time you
no.
just put a link in there, okay? Just put your link, in there to be easier for
Yeah,
people
and
to
just for you
access
to
it.
know,
Because I still can't
uh,
find it. Yeah.
really,
Mm-mm.
that's messed up.
Susan, have you found it? Talk and act. Hey.
Uh, I can't check. I
Oh, you
have
can
to.
check. Okay, on your. Oh, yes, yeah.
I can't
This one is
multitask.
making me
Yeah,
to learn English. Oh my goodness, no, I cannot find it. It's not there. But it's okay. You'll send me a link. You can also put a link over there. Yeah. You can put a link in the comment section. I think that'll be easier for us. And then we can just like copy the link and just put it on our bar. And then you can easily find it. Yeah. Kenyan with love. Have you found the link?
Yes, I was about
Where
to
can
do it.
link? You can put the link for us and then we can watch it. But anyway, guys, it's been such a lovely and very engaging discussion. This one, I mean, we were talking about Trump's executive orders, illegal immigrants' fears, and legal rights explained. We haven't really gotten to explaining the legal rights in depth, but we'll continue on Wednesday and we'll continue this discussion. It kind of went in different directions than we expected, but that's just fine because really, that's how it should be. It should be organic. Yeah. So look forward, guys, to talking to you on Wednesday. Join our show in the evening. Call your friends. Let them know. For everybody who's not new on here in the comment section, please come back on Wednesday and on Friday and on Sunday. Yeah. And you're welcome. You're welcome. Join us in the studio if you want.
yeah,
If you want to discuss stuff. And sorry if we didn't answer any of your questions properly or if we didn't take your comments adequately enough. But in time, we will. We will. Thank you very much, Ida. Thanks for these hearty conversations. Good night. You're welcome, Ida. Looking forward to chat
yeah,
with you. I'm so happy that we reconnected, Ida. It's fabulous. I'm so happy. Oh my God. Ida and I go a long way. Susan, thank you so much for your time. Kenya, with love, we're still waiting for that link and you've not provided. Ah,
yeah.
he's
Yes,
even just
yeah.
disappeared. Yeah. So,
Mm.
Ron, thank you so much for being with us today. And we really look forward to see you next time. Mato, of course, definitely. Kenya with love. And yeah, thank you so much for all being here. Adrian, thank you so much for coming on board with us. Fia, always there. Yeah, always there where we are. Thank you so much for joining us, and everybody else who's been watching on Facebook, YouTube. We saw you. We saw you, even if you didn't participate in the comments. We thank you very much, and we see you on Wednesday again. Cheers. To-dos. Remember to give us likes. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Good night,
Thank
Susan. Bye
you.
bye. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Yeah.
Bye bye. Bye.